It's time for Hostel Discourse. Here's your host, David Rolfing.
Hey everybody, welcome to episode 35 of Hostel Discourse. We have another fun episode planned for you tonight, talking all about Avengers Infinity War and our review of the movie just released on Friday last week, as well as a few fun speed round debate questions, which are: who is the best super movie villain? What is the best animated superhero TV series? And lastly, which Avengers powers would be the best to have in real life? So Jacob will be judging those debates, and we have a new debate format for those, so that will be fun. We're going to talk about Infinity War at a high level at first, so if you haven't seen the movie, you can still stick around for a few minutes while we give our high-level reviews, and I'll put in the show notes when we start talking about spoilers, so you can skip to the debate if you haven't seen the movie, or if you don't care and you want to hear about spoilers, feel free to stay and listen to the whole episode. But first, let me introduce you to tonight's crew. Returning guest Tim Witham, welcome back to the show.
Thanks for having me.
Yay.
And as always, my loyal co-host Jacob Hunter.
Hello again.
And Joe Kuiper.
Hello everyone.
I feel like Jared, he's under the title of co-host, but he hasn't been around that much lately.
It's wedding season.
Yeah.
Is there a chance for a takeover?
And graduation season.
Okay, let's get into it. We can start with our high-level Infinity War thoughts. What did you like about it? What did you not like about it? Obviously, we'll get into more details later, but let's start with Tim, our esteemed guest. Did you like the movie?
Oh, for sure. I think that's going to be a pretty common opinion amongst the people talking here tonight. I think the thing it did really well is it balanced a lot of the different plot lines that were going on in a very effective and deft way. A lot of the characters got screen time and really good lines, and I really liked how they interacted with one another. So yeah, it was great. A+ for me.
Cool. Jacob, what'd you think? I think our maybe number one Marvel fan, unless you want to claim that, Tim. I'm not sure.
No, it's definitely Jacob.
I don't know. But yeah, I love this movie. I saw it Thursday and Sunday of opening weekend and loved it both times. I think equally both times, and I think it might be top 3 MCU movies, Marvel Cinematic Universe movies for me. But definitely second what Tim said, but I also will say, like, if there is I guess I am like superlative exaggerating Jacob, but if there is one thing that I would exaggerate this to, it'd just be it's the craziest movie I've ever seen. Mainly between the fight scenes and just the entire scope of the movie. It's so, it just really is mind blowing. So I had a lot of fun seeing it even 2 times, and I'm probably going to go see it with Drake next week. So looking forward to it.
Does Logan still hold the number one spot?
Yeah, I won't count that because it's not like the Disney Marvel movies, and that movie's just such a league of its own anyway. So
yeah, that's true. But Marvel is in the process of buying the rights of X-Men from Fox, I believe. So that'll be interesting to see how they integrate X-Men in the future.
Yeah, I have a bet with my friend Jack, who I also did an Avengers death draft with. We had a bet on who was going to guess who died, like most characters that died. We also have a bet that I say that within 10 years we will have an Avengers versus X-Men movie.
Wow. And I was going to ask you if you think that's going to be something that happens if, this merger goes through, I guess.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Do you think they'll be able to keep the same characters?
I don't know.
I assume Hugh Jackman wouldn't be Wolverine.
I think Hugh Jackman, regardless, has said he's done with Wolverine, right?
Yeah. I would hope so. I really love the best part about Logan is probably just like the finality of it. So, but yeah.
Joe, did you like the movie?
So everyone's talking about how much they like the movie, and honestly, I did too. So, no, I liked it a lot. It was a good movie. Yeah, well made. Obviously, my favorite parts we will discuss in the spoiler section, but overall, very good.
Great. Well, I will agree. And I think this movie was very impressive to me. And I think that it kind of helped solidify a perspective that I've kind of been trying to form over the past few years. And that perspective is that, I mean, these movies are essentially for kids, I guess it was PG-13, but those are still kids, teenagers. And like kind of the perspective I have watching a movie like this has always been like, I want it to be, for me, an adult. I want it to have like dark themes and things that the Justice League have been trying to do, or not Justice League, DC movies. But Marvel has always done a good job of keeping them more light-humored, as well as just having awesome action and developing characters. But this kind of reminded me of Star Wars The Last Jedi and just like the disappointment I had for it. And this movie, I think, might have changed my perspective on just like these movies in general, which Star Wars is meant for kids too. And like, it's hard to wrap my mind around that. But this movie just does a really good job at being fun. Not everything about the movie has to be tied up in a perfect bow. Like, there are things you can nitpick about it, but I don't know. I just don't have the perspective anymore of like wanting to nitpick that. I kind of just let things go. And I really enjoyed this movie more than I have even past Avengers movies or the past couple of Star Wars movies, even though I obviously love the world of Star Wars, and I always will. But I really like this movie. I thought they really juggled a lot of different, storylines successfully. There's a couple of things that could have been improved upon, but definitely top Marvel movie for me as well. And I don't think I'll see it again in theaters. One was good for me. It's pretty long, but yeah. I liked it a lot, and I was very impressed, and it exceeded my expectations. All right, well, we can get into some spoilers now, so if you haven't seen it, you can jump ahead to the debates, but this will be your warning. I think we could kind of maybe just like walk through the movie as far as we can remember it.
Sure.
Maybe not scene by scene, but kind of in chronological order. So I guess we can start with kind of the intro scene with Thor and his crew. What did you guys think of the opening?
I would actually like to mention that I wasn't super stoked about the intro scene. I liked the movie in general, obviously, but like, I don't know. Like, now are all the Asgardians dead? They didn't really like show anyone survive, but according to the director, evidently people did survive because like that came out after the movie. So I don't know. It was kind of a weird, like, all right, everyone's dead except Thor and Loki kind of a thing. And like the whole point of Thor Ragnarok was that they saved a bunch of Asgardians.
I know, yeah.
So, I don't know. That seemed a little weird.
Right before my second viewing, like the night before, I watched Ragnarok again. And it's
like the perfect segue.
It is funny how like Thor's life really sucks all through Ragnarok, and then it gets better, and then you realize, oh my gosh, no, he hasn't seen the half of his troubles.
Yeah,
but, yeah. I thought that's probably my least favorite scene too, Joe. Well, I don't know if it's your least favorite, but definitely like the weakest Loki. He had just like a really cheap, like, for the God of Mischief, like his best play at Thanos was just like
trying to stab him.
Like sneakily walking up to him and pandering to him and just trying to stab him. Obviously didn't work. Yeah, not a great start, but I don't know, that set the tone pretty good. Getting Heimdall and Loki killed right off the bat.
Yeah, it makes me wonder how much money they had to pay Idris Elba to do, like, essentially what is 30 seconds of lying on the ground in this movie.
He does play that role well, but, I mean, I wasn't even really sad to see him go. That whole scene kind of was a little flat for me, too. Mm-hmm. I wish, though, that they would have started with the next scene when Hulk fell down into New York City, into Doctor Strange's mansion. I wish they would have started with that, because that whole scene, Tony Stark meeting Doctor Strange and then the battle on the streets, that was one of my favorite parts of the movie. And if they would have started with that, I think it would have worked a lot better. Obviously, Loki, I guess he had to die somehow, but that's kind of how I saw the beginning of the movie.
Yeah, David, I think you raise a good point because, I don't know, I think the most effective stories are the ones that start the latest. And I think if you literally just open up with Strange, and I believe the character's name is Wong, if you open up with those two guys, and then all of a sudden, literally, it could be pretty funny, like, big crash to the ceiling, and all of a sudden, Banner/Hulk is just sitting there, and you realize that he just got someone really just, knocked the snot out of him. And I think that would be a really sinister way to open up with Banner talking about how Thanos is just all powerful or something like that.
Speaking of Wong, where did he go?
He
left.
He just I was talking to some of my friends about this, that they raised this complaint too, but I think he just said he is going back to defend the Sanctum, right?
Yeah. That's all he says. Yeah.
Yeah, but besides the time gem, which is on Strange's person, there's no other artifact that's as important. So what could he possibly be protecting?
I don't know.
Yeah.
But
he could have helped out for sure in the battles to come. Let's talk about that battle in the streets. So Tony hears some commotion out the street. He walks out that front door. It's one really long, awesome shot with him kind of a car crashes right in front of him. He walks around the corner and the camera's following him this whole time. It really builds up some good tension. And then you see what's actually happening. I really liked that introduction as well as the fight.
Yeah, absolutely. It really made it seem larger than life, and that they didn't really know the full picture because it happened so suddenly. So we, the audience, are following Tony as he's realizing what's happening, yeah. And I actually, I'll bring up this, I was surprised by how much I felt engaged with each of Thanos' minions. I thought they all had really distinct personalities, even if they kind of were caricatures of the Marvel heroes. You kind of had your big dude, he's kind of like Hulk. You had your wizard, who's kind of like Doctor Strange. But I thought they really played off of each other well.
Yeah, they really worked for me, too. And when I initially saw the wizard guy, I don't know his name, he reminded me of the Sauron speaker at the Black Gates for some reason.
Yeah.
He has that long face and a big mouth. But yeah, he was really cool. And I really liked the battles between him and Doctor Strange, and I actually hadn't seen Doctor Strange. I watched it this morning, but Doctor Strange's combat in this movie actually worked even more than it did in the Doctor Strange movie. I thought that a lot of it was really cool design and digital effects, but yeah, pretty cool battle with the speaker, as I referred to him in my notes.
I liked him until I felt like his death was kind of anticlimactic and lame. But, I mean, he wasn't the main bad guy, so I wasn't too upset about it. But they just flush him into space. It's all right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wait, so, speaking of that, you know what I had a problem with that specifically is, every single ship I think we've seen in the Marvel Universe has some sort of, energy shields around it. And most of the time when, if there's a hull breach, the shields keep the oxygen inside. So it's I don't know, it just seemed it was a pretty cheap way to get rid of him, but I mean, I guess they needed to move the plot forward, so.
Yeah, I mean, and they used that as well as kind of a joke, because Spider-Man was making his pop culture references with aliens or whatever it was.
Yeah,
so,
yeah, totally.
That helped out a little bit.
Well, actually, I was confused. That was from Alien, the first one, I think, but they mentioned aliens, plural.
Man, Peter's such a casual.
Yeah. Well, honestly, I can't remember the ending of Aliens, the second one, but I know at the end of the first one, Sigourney Weaver opens up the escape pod she's in, and the alien flies out. So I'm assuming that's what they were trying to get at.
Yeah.
What happened next?
After that,
Guardians meeting Thor?
Yeah, the Guardians meet up, and them and Tony are on Titan then, right?
Yeah, it starts with the establishing shot for the Guardians. It gets you so pumped. They're playing Rubber Band Man by I forget the name of the band, but the card just says space, and their ship looks so cool.
Oh yeah,
yeah.
That's what I liked was how well they integrated all the themes from the other movies. That was a prime example of the Guardians. Just you knew the Guardians were going to show up as soon as the music started playing and you see space, and that was well done by them.
Yeah, and I thought the Guardians dialogue was 10 times funnier than Guardians 2, even in Infinity War.
Yeah.
It was way more natural, first of all. Plus they didn't just overdo their jokes.
Yep.
Like they did in Guardians 2, I felt like. And so they just made them way more fun to watch. But
yes, definitely.
Them joking about Thor was greatness. And I don't know. I guess that's kind of all I have off the top of my head for that scene. But
Thor calling him Rabbit, the whole thing, that made me laugh every time.
It's so good.
What did you think about Gamora and Thanos, and did their storyline hold weight for you? Did it work for you as far as one of the emotional climaxes when he sacrifices her? They spent a lot of time with Gamora and Thanos and her sister, which I thought really helped develop Thanos into, just learning more about him. But I just don't know if Gamora, that really worked totally, just because I don't know. I guess I've only seen the Guardians movies once, so maybe I just don't know about her character that much. But what do you think about her?
I think the biggest part about Gamora for this movie, like, she didn't have that much time. The biggest part of her character for me in the movie is like right when they first are fighting Thanos in Nowhere. She thinks she's killed him, and she has like an emotional breakdown. Like, she's crying really, really hard, and to me, that just solidifies that she has terrible, terrible father issues, which just makes it feel like she and Thanos have a lot of history. So I thought I thought it was a great way of like doing that in not a lot of time. Yeah,
because the only childhood memories they showed were just when she was a little girl, right when he kidnapped her, essentially. But yeah, it just seems like she grew up in an abusive relationship. And
I definitely agree with you guys, especially because it's funny, like, I never personally felt, and you guys can feel free to disagree with me, I never felt a real draw or connection to Gamora's character in Guardians 1 or 2. And then all of a sudden she really just came into her own, I think, this movie, because she has this longing to protect Nebula, but at the same time Thanos just really sold the emotional weight and gravitas that goes with their relationship. And even though we didn't get to see that visually on screen that much outside of like 1 or 2 flashbacks, I think just having Thanos at the very end kind of wake up in the sort of like, I guess it was like, a purgatory of sorts, or, that like kind of astral dream area or something, and he sees a younger Gamora as a child. I think that just speaks volumes to how intrinsically linked the two characters are, and that even if it wasn't a healthy relationship, they definitely had a connection. That was really, I think, delivered well.
Yeah. The scene where they're getting I think it's the soul gem, where Red Skull is like the little guide in there from Captain America. Not played by Hugo Weaving, I don't think. It was a different actor.
Oh, it was? It sounded like Hugo to me.
Yeah, I think it was an impersonator, I'm pretty sure.
Wow, they were really good.
And why was Elrond even there?
Bro. He explained it, but it was very weak.
At the end of Captain America, he does just kind of like, he disappears into the void. Like,
I thought he teleported.
I mean, yeah, like you don't. There's no body at the end of it. Like, he definitely is. There's room to believe that he's just taken away by the stone.
But he just becomes like a mystical gatekeeper of wisdom. Like,
the stone.
He's just a bad guy.
Yeah.
Dude, that happens to every Marvel villain when they die. They go become a gatekeeper in a different planet somewhere.
Yeah. Wow. I gotta say, like, one of my favorite tropes, I guess, is having a more minor villain come back in a significant way, even if it's like really small, like in Winter Soldier.
Yes, Jacob. Yes.
What's that guy's name?
I don't know. One of the Nazi guys, but he comes back as a robot computer.
Well,
dude,
he comes back as MODOK.
Yeah, dude. Oh,
and they did such a cool design for him. Like, I love that.
That was sick. Yeah, but speaking of MODOK, did anyone like? When I saw Peter Dinklage's character on screen for the first time, I literally was like, what? Is this MODOK? Because there were rumors that he was going to play MODOK, right? In an Incredible Hulk film, Jacob? Like,
I did not know that. I did not know that.
Yeah, so like that was like rumored even, I think, before he had that role as Trask in Days of Future Past. But it just never came to fruition. So I'm glad we got Peter Dinklage in a Marvel movie now.
I did not like his performance at all.
I don't think he's a very good actor.
As a giant dwarf or whatever he was. He described himself as a dwarf, but then he was huge, so it doesn't really make sense. But yeah, Peter Dinklage completely failed at his voiceover in Destiny 1. They had to re-record the whole thing and release it in an update in that video game. And he's obviously great in Game of Thrones, because I think he's playing more of like a character like himself. But in this movie, he like has this weird, his voice just doesn't sound good. And I don't know. I think he should be banned from doing voice acting. I didn't really think he worked very well, but Tim, you sounded like you liked him in there.
Okay, I will admit, I actually did like him more so for the goal, which is to get the sickest weapon in the Marvel universe.
Oh my gosh.
Jacob, bring it on home.
Yeah, so if any of our longtime listeners can recall, in our debate where we argued what the most deserving next hero for a superhero box office movie, I argued for Beta Ray Bill. Stormbreaker is the name of the hammer that he's given.
No way.
Yeah. So, and it looks just like that, except it didn't have the.
It doesn't have Groot's arm. Hey, I'm calling it now, guys. Next Avengers, we're gonna get Groot growing back from the hammer.
From the hammer.
little handle. Yeah.
That'd be sick.
That'd be sick.
Yeah.
But yeah, I was going crazy. Like the Thor storyline was my favorite part of this movie, other than Thanos. Just anytime he was on screen, but I was going crazy when they built Stormbreaker.
Yes.
That was awesome. And then
Cool.
then it's like not that long before he gets bifrosted straight into the Wakanda battle,
that was
and he
sick.
does that huge jump up where like he's just surrounded by storm clouds. He does like the lightning eyes thing.
Yeah.
Yep.
Gosh, that was so cool.
Yeah, like I was worried for a bit that Thor had just taken a real emotional beating at the beginning of Infinity War, because like we see him at the end of Ragnarok realize that when Kate Blanchett's character Hela is just like, remind me, you're the god of what again? And I know it's really cheesy, but he does have this like introspective moment, like, oh yeah, that's right, I am the god of thunder, and he just kicks tail with all of his lightning powers and stuff. And I was worried we were not going to get to see that Thor again, and that character buildup had been for naught. But I'm glad, exactly like Jacob said, he came in with the Bifrost, coming in hot, and just went nuts with his new weapon. It was great. Loved it.
He had and I know we're skipping ahead a little bit to the last battle and Wakanda, but Thor had the dopest hero entrance when he slams into the ground, and that was like one of the coolest parts of the movie, and one of the only times they did that. They usually have it a couple times in Marvel movies, just like that hero slam the ground entrance, but yeah, that was pretty awesome. And then he destroyed the whole battlefield, essentially.
Yeah, Thor like single-handedly wins that fight and kills Thanos.
Yep.
Almost.
Almost.
It's pretty epic.
Let's go back a little bit to talk some more about Thanos. So I was going to say, right before he sacrificed Gamora, she didn't think there was any way that he loved her. And so she was like very surprised when she realized he was going to kill her. But Thanos in general worked a lot better than I thought he would as a fully CGI villain. And I think the core of that for me was kind of like his whole thing wasn't, I want to destroy the universe. It was, I want to kill half of the universe's population so that, people won't be suffering for resources and, scavenging like they did on his planet or whatever that other planet was. But I don't know. I liked that whole goal of his, and it kind of, you could be a little bit empathetic with him to a point. But what do you guys think of him and his goals?
Well, first I need to correct you, David. Titan is not a planet. It is a moon of Saturn. So I think that's a pretty big difference.
Is he from the moon of Saturn?
Dude, I think that oh shoot, I mean, I actually don't know. There is a moon of Saturn called Titan, and it has an orange atmosphere, kind of like we see in the movie. So I just assumed that it was one and the same. But wow, I might have to eat my words. I don't know.
Ha.
Yeah. I obviously a lot of things I love about this movie. One of them, probably the main one, being Thanos. But I'm trying to put my finger on like some concrete examples, but they just made him way more relatable than I was expecting. Like if you start thinking too hard about, not too hard, if you think a lot about like the Infinity War and you're thinking about, okay, we're going to be fighting over these Infinity Stones and everything is going to be so grandiose, like you feel like you're going to lose track of like characters and personalities, but Thanos is such a strong personality, and he goes on a pretty insane adventure in the movie. And so, like I said earlier, he was the one that I thought really carried the movie, if anyone. Like I was more sold anytime he was on screen than anytime else,
Yeah, the Infinity Stones are kind of, like, you don't really know what they can do. Like, even when he has most of them, he's not really totally using them to their full potential. But I mean, I wasn't really thinking that when he was fighting. After the fact, you're like, yeah, why didn't he just use the time thing the whole movie? But yeah, he definitely kind of grounded the Infinity Stones a little bit and made it a little more believable and a little bit more simple too.
His use of the Reality Stone was pretty cool, and the Time Stone when he like reverted time or whatever. But other than those two, like you didn't really get the individual stones, I feel like. Also, major problem I had with this movie is Vision was just a wimp the whole time.
Oh,
Yes.
okay. But to his credit, he got stabbed a bunch of times.
Well, yeah, but like he's Vision. He shouldn't even be stabbed in the first place.
Yeah, like can he just phase?
Well, he got
guess
stabbed
he
by
gets
surprise
ambushed.
the first time.
So that again, that's
And
why I
they
kept
said
saying I can't phase.
that it was with a special blade that made him not able to phase anymore.
Dude, it just seems like a kryptonite situation.
Yeah, he
His
just gets hyped up. Like
carrying
so
around
powerful.
Vision was really super lame. I did not like having. Yeah, I wasn't really rooting for him that much.
Yeah,
His relationship with Scarlet Witch was one of the things I was going to bring up. That was my least favorite parts about the movie. Their relationship was like the climax of the, like it was like the emotional climax at the end of the movie.
Yeah.
And their whole relationship was just not believable, kind of lame. And we just haven't seen that much of them together. The last thing we saw was them, I think, flirting at the end of Age of Ultron or something.
Yeah.
Like that. And it shows them vacationing in Edinburgh or whatever. But like he's an AI, and if you kill him, which would save half the universe, that's kind of an easy decision. She has some issues if she can't do that.
I know.
And Tony and Banner could just rebuild him. It's not that difficult.
Well, you couldn't do it without the stone. That's how they had to use the stone to build him, to make him like truly sentient. But all of the dialogue like they're having with Vision and Scarlet Witch and Captain America and whatever, they're all in that room and they're just planning everything right before they go to Wakanda. It's just like very stereotypical cheesy dialogue about like, no, you have to do this. She's like, no, I could never. And like, well, why don't you just think about it a little bit more? So yeah,
It's almost as frustrating as what's his name, Chris Pratt.
Yes. Oh my gosh.
bro.
What's his character?
Star-Lord.
Peter Quill.
Star-Lord. Peter Quill. It's almost as frustrating as him not just helping to pull Thanos' glove off. Those were two just like completely emotional decision making by them two. That was just like, come on.
Well,
Yeah,
I think it was necessary, and it's very much in Peter's character, which is good because he's kind of immature. But also, Doctor Strange at this point knew that was going to happen and that it needed to happen.
yeah. I'm behind
That's
the
true.
theory that Doctor Strange knows what's going down.
Oh, he has to. I mean,
yeah.
like, there's.
Well, he did.
He like
He's
literally
dead
just
now.
sat there, went ballistic.
R.I.P.
Yeah, you know, like
15 million to 1 odds.
yeah.
Oh,
do we
14,605,000.
Sorry.
Do we think that the one he saw where they won is what's happening, or do you think that he just didn't see a winning alternative?
Oh,
No, here's
without
the
a
thing.
doubt.
Doctor Strange would have changed it to be like the one he saw, no matter what. Because I think he
So
was
we think
pulling
it's
his
the one.
punches.
Yeah.
Because he would have used the time stone if it needed to change.
He said his dying words were, "It's the only way."
Yep.
Yeah.
But I do want to go back and say that the scene before Star-Lord screws everything up, that is the emotional climax for the movie for me.
Yes, Jacob.
That
I'm right there
that
with
part
you.
is so intense, especially when Mantis drops in. They've got him in like the sleep state, and they're trying to figure out where Gamora is, and she basically tells them by reading his mind and just like reading his emotions. She just says that he's in mourning. God, it's so intense. And man,
Yeah.
as
Who knew that Mantis could be such a cool part of the Guardians?
Exactly,
no,
man.
yeah, what a weird power.
Yeah, I was going to bring up Mantis. I was so impressed because I thought she was just there for jokes and being kind of an emotional punching bag in the second Guardians of the Galaxy. Now, not only is her power really useful, but I don't know, she brings like a real sense of innocence to the group, and it's heartbreaking to see her realize the emotional state of Thanos almost as much as Thanos is going through it.
Yeah.
That whole battle is also maybe tied with the first New York battle, like one of the coolest. I wasn't that big of a fan of the massive battle in Wakanda. It wasn't that special, but the battle with Spider-Man, Iron Man, against Thanos on that planet was really awesome. Mm-hmm. Iron Man's suit was ridiculous. He kept pulling out so many gadgets and stuff, and he just, at the beginning, he was like, yeah, it's nanotechnology.
Yeah. Well, it's funny because like when in Iron Man 3, I know, we're going to talk about that movie. He gets Jacob, it is the extremist armor, yes?
I don't know. I think so.
So, like, it's funny to me that it took this many movies to get to the level of interconnectivity that Tony has with his suit now, because previously all of his suits have been very much like, individual parts, and now it's really nanotech. Like, that's really sick. And it being completely mentally controlled by Tony is kind of, I think, the ultimate synthesis between him and the machines that he's made. So yeah, you're right. This was really quite excellent, and I think the coolest suit we've had yet. Like, I get so impressed every time we see a new Iron Man suit. He's not my favorite character, but they just keep upping the game with how cool his suits are. Like, it's really pretty cool and impressive.
A very fun thing to do is just look at the characters from this movie and like the first time we saw them, and I think Iron Man has just learned how, like, he's just become an amazing fighter. Because he actually, like, if you can remember, he trades a few punches with Thanos right before he gets stabbed. He pulled a really sick move where, like, he did this weird spin kick thing and, like, pinned Thanos' hand down with the nanobots from his leg. It was like hardcore kung fu stuff. It was so, I don't know. That was a big example for me of just them being like, you could just tell that there have been years and years of adventures on these characters to see how far they've come.
Wow.
Yeah, and sticking with that nanotechnology, obviously he gave Spider-Man his suit as well. And in Spider-Man Homecoming, I was like, does Spider-Man's suit need to be this technologically advanced? Like, I don't know. It's kind of like, I'd rather just have him have his normal powers. But like Spider-Man in space with this suit, with the special legs on the back of it and everything, like, I thought it worked. It was pretty sweet in the space battles. And I mean, at some points he was like just catching Mantis because she was like blown away. And he's like, oh, I got to save this girl. Yeah. And I don't know. He did. I mean, I love Spider-Man in this movie. He did great, especially, the acting at the beginning and all the comedy and everything.
At the end.
Yeah, and at the end.
Like this if you cry every time. So David made me think of a really funny idea that I had. Maybe, like, if Peter didn't have the special Tony Stark design suit and he had just gone into space, like, just like a cloth suit, he'd be an icicle real quick.
I was wondering, like, how are they breathing right now? But
yeah. Also, hey, can we talk about, like, I'm sorry if I totally missed the point of Thanos' dropships essentially being giant donuts. Like, I thought they were going to be portals, or were they?
Oh, yeah. I thought they were going to be that too.
No. But it was just the propulsion system, I guess.
Yeah. I don't know. I thought we were going to get, like, I almost thought we were going to get a scene where, like, maybe so many people invade Earth at once that all the heroes had to abandon it for a little bit.
No.
But
one question about his ships I have: why did they land in Wakanda? Was there any reason?
Well, they knew that's where they knew it's where Vision was.
That's where Vision was. Yeah.
I'm trying to think of how they knew, but they did know.
Yeah, I was wondering. It to me that makes sense, but it kind of seemed like they were just landing there just so there could be a battle with the Wakandan people. Or should I say the Gungans?
Yeah, that's so funny.
Hey, actually, you know what's funny? I thought this fight scene is the only fight scene I've seen since Lord of the Rings that reminded me of a Lord of the Rings style battle because of the river running through. I don't know. I just got kind of a Helm's Deep vibe a little bit from that. But I thought, actually, I don't know, you guys might not have liked that much, but I thought a lot of heroes that typically play second fiddle shined here. Specifically, War Machine had some incredible weapons that he used. And then Bucky also had some good moments too.
Yeah, I'm a pretty big fan of the combat that was going on in, like, the big mass battle on Wakanda. Normally, I think that stuff gets really boring just watching, like, quick shots of hand-to-hand combat, but I don't know. Like, they made it seem really fast-paced and violent. And it was I was on the edge of my seat for the whole thing, but I was still buying in during that scene. So part of it is Captain America. Like, they just keep making him more badass.
Did his shield break or something? Why doesn't he have it?
I think they took it when
he was a criminal.
Yeah, because they threw him in I think it's called the kiln. No.
Yeah, that's the kiln.
It's the kiln. Yeah,
because he's a fugitive. He was under arrest and they stole stuff.
Yeah, and then that was when he had that sick monologue at the end of Civil War. He's like, "If you ever need a hero."
Yeah.
But One thing, they had a throwaway line about it, but I couldn't really follow it. What was up with Clint not being here, with Hawkeye not being here?
He and Ant-Man are on house arrest, which I think is a pretty funny way to write that off, like to get them out of the story. Yeah. It's like, everyone's just throwing around like the universe is at stake, and then it's like, well, they're under house arrest, so we can't get them. So.
Well, I mean, they did have Ross, Thunderbolt Ross, long-term Incredible Hulk villain there, and I actually really like that they included that, because I think that house arrest line would have just been like a stupid throwaway if they didn't have at least some, because like Rhodey was saying like, yeah, this is a court-martial for me by coming with y'all, but he still did. So yeah.
For how awesome the Black Panther movie was, I wasn't really feeling the Wakanda people. Or in Black Panther, they barely showed him like fighting. I don't know. I just feel like there was something missing, and it just kind of felt like they inserted the Black Panther people, or Black Panther and the Wakandan people, into that battle. I don't know. I just didn't really. It didn't feel right to me. And Black Panther didn't do anything that amazing either, so I feel like they could have made him a lot cooler in this movie.
Yeah.
Anybody else agree or no?
I just don't really care. I didn't love Black Panther, so.
Fair enough. Okay, let's talk about that ending. So, if you haven't seen it and you're somehow listening, 12 characters disappeared after Thanos got the last Infinity Stone, and they were Bucky, Black Panther, Spider-Man, Doctor Strange, Falcon, Scarlet Witch, Star-Lord, Groot, Drax, Mantis, Nick Fury, and Maria Hill. So there's lots of theories online as to why and what's going to happen in the next movie to bring back some or all of these characters. One that I thought was interesting, I guess let's just talk about what were you feeling when this happened. We can start with that and then talk a little bit about what we think is going to happen next.
I mean, I'll just get out with it. I was surprised they went that hard. I thought worst case scenario, we'd walk out of this movie with maybe like 2 major character deaths max, but we got a significant palate cleansing, so to speak. But I'm also, I mean, it's comic books, man. Like, they're going to come back in some form. Jacob had a really good point. I hope he's going to elucidate on it more in a sec, but I mean, they could come back, but hopefully it'll be at a price. Or we do actually see some permanent deaths out of this. I think what would be really cool is if we get maybe a phase or a few movies with these characters gone, and we can see how the characters start to develop and react. Because you could have some people replacing the Guardians, because I think they took the biggest hit. You could get, like, Adam Warlock has already been kind of introduced at the end of the second Guardians movie. He could come in. Captain Marvel, I think, has been associated with the team a little bit too, so she could maybe be entering into that fold. So I think this is a really good opportunity for them, and I'm skeptical of seeing how they proceed, if this is something that doesn't last for more than just, until the next Avengers movie, or if it actually lasts for a little bit.
I thought that we were going to see the end of Thanos in this movie.
Yep.
Since they went, because I remember seeing that, like, they changed the titles from Avengers 3 and 4. They were originally like Infinity War Part 1 and Part 2, but they changed it back to just like consolidating them. I thought we were just going to have the whole Infinity War story played out. On that assumption, like, I just thought a lot of things were going to happen as far as character deaths, namely, like Tim said, like 2 or 3 big ones, and not like, but instead we got this, and I'm so glad that it is the way it is. But yeah, I really don't think that, like, you can buy into the idea that, yeah, it is comic books and they're going to come back and there's alternate universes and everything's going to be crazy and there's crossover events and whatever. But I think the way that they've told this story so far is that just like Thanos uses the Infinity Stones, and then he goes and sees the child Gamora, and she says, "Did you do it?" And he says, "Yes." "What did it cost?" "Everything." Like, the idea is there that to do all of these things, to wield this unbelievable power, like, it does cost a lot. So I do think that while maybe there is going to be trade-off, like, we're probably going to see Black Panther and Spider-Man again, I think there's going to be definitely, like, lasting repercussions to the Marvel storyline. At least I really hope so. If not, that would really suck. But I'm not going to write it off yet, because there's still a lot of movies to see.
The whole scene was my single favorite part in a Marvel movie ever.
Really? Everyone died?
I mean, like,
Joe's like, death.
well, obviously I wasn't happy when I watched it, but like the one thing that I feel like Marvel movies have always lacked is like real emotional weight. And I feel like this movie finally gave it to us and like in a huge dose. And I just loved that they did that they were like bold enough to do it. And like, maybe they'll bring it back and it'll like lose a little impact or whatever. But like taking just like huge franchises like Spider-Man and Black Panther and being like, psych, they're dead now. Like, I thought that was really cool. And the way that they did it, where it kind of like you cut to each character and you're like, oh, who's going to die? Like Black Panther was reaching for that one girl and you're like, oh, the girl's going to die. And then Black Panther dies and you're like, what? And like every single death. And then Peter, when it's like, I don't want to go to Mr. Stark. And it's like, oh, geez. And how each character reacted when they like realized what was happening. I thought that was cool too. Like Star-Lord was just kind of like, oh man. And then like, I don't know, Nick Fury was like, oh mother. That was funny. So I thought it was very well made and a great impact for sure.
I had a hard time kind of just like taking the emotional impact and not thinking about what movies are in the works for the future already, like the Black Panther movie 2, Spider-Man 2, Guardians 3. So right when they showed Black Panther died, I was like, no, there's no way this is going to be permanent. And then Spider-Man also, and then like all the Guardians. But one interesting theory that I saw was all the people that disappeared are actually the ones who survived. And everyone who was left are the ones who are actually like dead or going to die. And I think what this is kind of based on is a lot of the people who survived, like Iron Man, Captain America, several others, their contracts are done, like their acting contracts. And a few of them have been open about like not wanting to act in Marvel movies anymore. So I don't know. That could be really interesting if all the people you think lived are actually the ones who die, or I don't know. Could be something interesting like that. But I didn't read too much into it or read all the theories. I kind of wanted to give my opinion and not other people's on this podcast. But I'm sure there's lots of stuff out there right now.
I think like the overexposure to the development of these movies has been such to the detriment of all moviegoers. Like there is nothing good about knowing what movie's going to come out in 5 years.
Yeah.
Agreed.
Well, we can wrap it up, I think, and move on to the debates. I wanted to just mention one thing. In one of the trailers, it showed Hulk running in the battle.
Yes.
Like in the woods or something weird.
It was in like Wakanda.
Obviously,
We never got that.
Yeah, Bruce Banner was in the Hulkbuster suit, but he wasn't in the battle as Hulk, so very interesting, like misleading trailers the past few years. Like Rogue One from Star Wars was completely different. So maybe trailers aren't that bad after all, because they're completely different movies than the one that comes out.
Yeah.
Yep.
No, they're still garbage.
They didn't have that. They didn't have the one line from the first Infinity War trailer where he says, fun isn't something one considers when balancing the universe.
I didn't notice
That was not in the movie.
Oh my gosh. Hey, FYI, I really hope some of Thanos' one-liners from this movie reach the level of quotability that Bane's did. I think he had some great ones. Like, you know what, when we were talking about the fight scene when they tried to rip the gauntlet off his hand, and when I knew things were about to get serious and like have real repercussions was when Thanos says, he like, you know, gets hit by Tony and just looks at him and says, really? All of that for a drop of blood? And I was like, whoa. Yeah. I don't know. Josh Brolin just had like such a heavy-hitting delivery of his lines. It just had such weight behind it. It was great.
Yeah. All right. Well, I think that is going to wrap up our Infinity War review. We can move on to the speed round debate questions. Woo-hoo. Jacob's going to be the judge, so I think the format's going to go like this. We'll each do 30-second intro, 30-second rebuttals, 30-second expansions, 30-second rebuttals, and then 15-second closing. So that makes 5 rounds for the speed round debates. Let's start with the first question, which is, who is the best movie supervillain of all time? And Jacob, I can hand it to you and keep us be strict on the timing. All right?
We'll do. All right, I'm going down the line as I see him on my Google Hangout. So we're starting with Big Joe first. Are you ready?
I sure can be.
All right, ready, set, 30 seconds, and go.
Best movie villain of all time is the Joker, but we took him out of this competition. Second best movie villain is Loki. He carries a different air about him that is not seen in other villains, and obviously the best villain of all time is the Joker, and we like him because he's just kind of this anarchical, different villain that's not just after power. And I think that that's kind of similar to what you get with Loki.
All right, you had 5 seconds left. Good for you. Big D, you're up. Ready, set, go.
The best super movie villain of all time is Magneto from the X-Men movies, played by Ian McKellen. He is an amazing villain, very relatable villain, and a villain that kind of stands on the line between good and bad, because his motivations actually aren't totally bad. He wants to save the X-Men or the mutant population from being persecuted. He has a very tragic background in the Holocaust, and he really matches up well with...
Time up. All right, Tim. Ready, set, go.
Okay, I'm saying Green Goblin, mainly because Willem Dafoe just absolutely annihilated this role, and he made it an iconic delivery, and he brought gravitas and drama to a genre that was just starting to get going because superhero movies weren't really widely considered to be great at the time, and also that he's an intelligent and really psychotic villain because he's willing to kill and maim Spider-Man in order to get what he wants.
Awesome. Okay, now 30 seconds again. The next one is a rebuttal, so address other people's arguments, not your own.
Yeah.
Ready? We'll go Big Joe again. We'll go right back down the line. Ready, set, go.
The problem with both of your villains is that they're just super boring, and Magneto is just after a thing that no one can relate to. I'm sorry that the government's after your thing, but you're blowing it way out of proportion into this super neo-Nazi kill everyone that's against us kind of way. And Green Lantern is just this guy who's after power and is rich dude who just wants to throw pumpkin bombs at people. Right. And I just reduced everyone's arguments down in my classic debate
just stop,
format.
Joe. All right, David, ready, set, go.
Joe, we just went through the review of Infinity War. The beginning of the movie sucked. The first scene with Loki, and Loki's character really declined over the course of the Avengers movies. From the first Avengers, yeah, he was great, but he declined in the Thor movies into the butt of every joke, and he was just Thor's brother who got kicked around, and he really just declined as a character and did not end up as a good villain. And the Goblin, Ian McKellen is a much better actor.
You're out of time. All right, Tim, ready, set, go.
So initially, I just definitely wanted to say that Magneto is he doesn't have a consistency to him because he's played by two different actors, and it just doesn't work that well in terms of delivery. Beyond that, Loki, again, like David just said, very declining returns as the Avengers movies go on. And he's also just playing, basically he's serving Thanos the whole time, which we've learned, and that just really diminishes the only movie he was good in, which was the first Avengers. Done.
All right, well done. Now we are on to an expansion. Focus on your own argument. We'll mix it up. Big D, ready, set, go.
Okay, Magneto is the Malcolm X to MLK with Xavier. He really works well to kind of have the extreme point of view on the mutants compared to Xavier, and it really works really well to make you if you were a young mutant who you're being persecuted, they're trying to take your powers away, you would want to team up with Magneto. It's very relatable, even though we're not mutants, Joe. You can still relate to it. There's plenty of people groups that have been persecuted.
You're out of time. All right, Tim, back to you. Ready, set, go.
Okay, again, I'm going to quote one of his great lines in the first movie, "Go for the heart." He's an intelligent villain who knows how to get to the emotional core of his adversary, namely Spider-Man. Beyond that, Willem Dafoe just absolutely annihilates this role. He's a great actor, and again, like I said, he brought a lot of real weight to a type of movie that hadn't really proven itself yet in the box office or in the eyes of critics and fans alike. So I think without him, supervillains today would not be what they are. Done.
All right. Joe, ready, set, go.
Loki's been in like 6 movies now. So obviously there's going to be diminishing returns regardless how many movies you're in. But he still carries this weight of like, I'm the shifty little guy that you never know what I'm going to do. And I do agree that in Infinity War he sucked, but that was kind of a one instance out of 6 movies. And I just think he brings that shifty, I'm a bad guy because I have daddy issues kind of mentality that I think is nice to see in a villain, as opposed to just I'm a bad guy because I want power, or I'm a bad guy because my people were persecuted.
You're out of time. Okay. One more round of rebuttals. Tim, we'll start with you. Ready, set, go.
I think the melodrama that comes with family drama like Loki's bringing is just silly. And plus, he didn't even make good on many of his plans. He took this whole time in Thor 2 to become the new king of Asgard, posing as Odin, and yet this was something that was completely thrown away the second Thor Ragnarok starts. So, yeah, not good. And Magneto, he's just too inconsistent between movies. Done.
All right. Joe, ready, set, go.
Loki sucks.
Loki?
I don't know. Loki's not a great villain.
All right. Joe is disqualified.
I'm going to take myself
All
out of
right.
this one.
The first time ever someone's taken themselves out of competition.
With Jared, Jared is commenting on the YouTube live stream. Give Joe last. Joe even knows he deserves last. And then he said, I do.
All right, David. Ready, set, go.
All right, so the Green Goblin is way too scary for a kid's movie. He's absolutely terrifying in his mansion. He freaked me out when I saw that movie as a kid. And Loki, I mean, you're disqualified anyways. He's the clear worst choice in this. I don't even need to get into that, but Magneto all the way, baby.
Hey, I gotta say this. Genocide is way scarier than anything Green Goblin ever tried to do.
Okay, come on. We got 15-second closing statements. Tim, ready, set, go.
Okay, just saying Green Goblin is scary is proving my point. He was an incredible villain. Willem Dafoe, scary dude. He sold that role. And Genocide, ridiculously high level. No villain needs to do that to accomplish his goals.
All right, David, go.
What makes a supervillain great is their relatability, their backstory, and their powers. Magneto's powers are like some of the coolest in all of superhero movies. You want them, and you kind of see where he's coming from, where in his mission.
Out of time. All right.
Wait, I want to give mine.
Okay. The winner of this one is Tim. I thought he did a great job of balancing his rebuttals. Also, he brought in a quote, which was powerful. And David, I like your point about superpowers, but it came in too late. I wish you had that in a different part.
For the record, I think Magneto should have won this one.
Wow. Well,
just to back up what David did say, though, I was going to say that when he uses the pumpkin bomb and like kills some dude, that stuff still haunts me. Really? The guy gets like, you see his like skeleton and he gets like weird molten. Yeah. Like, oh, it's terrifying.
I haven't seen that movie in a very long time. Tim, let's rewatch the Sam Raimi movies when you come visit.
Oh, absolutely. That sounds good. Oh, I will have a plug for Willem Dafoe, what we're talking about in a bit. He was in the Florida Project, which I watched recently. Excellent movie.
He is a scary-looking dude.
He is.
He is, dude. Yeah.
All right. What's the next question?
Next debate question is, what is the best animated superhero TV series?
Okay. We'll start with the winner. Tim, ready, set, 30 seconds, go.
Okay. So Teen Titans definitely just had an amazing cast of characters, mainly because they function better together, and heroes that otherwise might not have been as great on their own, such as Robin or even Cyborg, together just formed a really cohesive team. Each character got a season that was dedicated to their own character arcs, so that made them develop well over the course of the show. And finally, the art style and music really just made it unique and different than anything else that Cartoon Network or other networks were putting out at the time. So together, it made a really unique show that really stood the test of time.
Perfect 30 seconds. Big D, ready, set, go.
Justice League Unlimited is the best superhero TV show ever, and the name kind of describes one of its strengths. It's unlimited potential. It really builds upon the core Justice League from the original Justice League TV show, but it adds in all these different superheroes. It doesn't overwhelm you, but each episode is a contained story that really you get to learn about new superheroes each time, as well as kind of build on those solid characters from the OG Justice League.
Another perfect 30 seconds. Joe, keep it up. Ready, set, go.
what my argument is about is the good old-fashioned Powerpuff Girls, a little bit of sugar spice and everything nice. Yours are great, but mine, it carries something that yours doesn't have, and that's empowering women in the roles of superhero movies.
Okay.
And it's an important thing to do, and I think they did it best.
All right. Now we're on to 30-second rebuttals. Joe, you can start. Go.
Okay. Justice League Unlimited, it was a really good show, but it also tried to incorporate like 1,000 characters into a TV show, and over 3 seasons, and like sometimes it just felt like they were using throwaway characters. Yeah, that's all I had.
Okay.
I blanked.
All right. David, ready, set, go.
You're saying Justice League is... Crap, I forgot what I was going to say. Teen Titans is a kid's show. Justice League is for a more mature audience. It's way better. It's more adult themes. It's more fun to watch when you're not a 10-year-old. And Teen Titans just has too much stupid humor in it compared to Justice League. And Powerpuff Girls, I could say the same thing. Pretty childish. But also, Mojo Jojo's like the coolest villain in Powerpuff Girls.
You're out of time. All right. Tim, ready, set, go.
Okay, first of all, the Teen Titans dealt with really adult themes, such as Raven literally having to come to terms with her father being an interdimensional space devil, so that's pretty freaky. Beyond that, Justice League Unlimited just had way too many characters, and Teen Titans did a lot more with a tighter cast that proved that they could really get any mission accomplished and develop more cohesively and succinctly without having too many extra filler characters. And they had plenty of strong female characters, including Terra, Starfire, and Raven. So there you go, Powerpuff Girls. Done.
Perfect 30 seconds. Okay. Expand on your opening arguments. We'll start with David. Ready, set, go.
You want to talk about women empowerment? Hawkgirl, Wonder Woman, Supergirl. You're saying that they have too many characters. The show still focuses on the core Justice League, but it really brings in these other characters that you get to know and love. Booster Gold, who's been brought up on previous episodes of this show, great new character. And just like the contained stories, yeah, there's unlimited potential with all these characters, but I mean, there's episodes that focus on one character. Batman still has specific episodes. Other people do too.
Time. All right. Ready, set, Joe.
Oh, I didn't know who that was. Look, I'm going to bring up a point that David actually used in our discussion of Infinity War, and that's that these superhero movies are for kids. And none of these are better for kids than the Powerpuff Girls. And I think that Justice League Unlimited is basically kind of like a fanboy service to middle-aged guys that love watching these superheroes fight. And Teen Titans, and it was a little bit younger age demographic for sure, but Powerpuff Girls was for the kids. It gave the kids a little bit of empowerment, and it just kind of it was what it was meant to be, for kids.
All right, well done. Tim, ready, set, go.
Okay, I'm just going to end with saying that the last episode of Teen Titans was really heavy and showed over the entire course of the show how one character, Beast Boy, goes from being a kid and it kind of being a kid's show earlier on and then developing more adult themes, symbolizing how we also grow with the shows as we age. And mainly because he had to deal with one of his really good friends getting amnesia and not remembering him ever, the times they had together. So really just shows that as the show got older, so did the audience. And I think it really reflected those themes of growing up well.
Dang. All right. Rebuttals again. We'll start with Joe. Ready, set, go.
Yeah, both of your things, like you said, have female elements to them, but what they lack is like a central female character. They're still kind of the side stories in a larger male-dominated plot. And I think everything you see nowadays is like, oh, look at this male superhero, that's so cool. And now we're getting movies like Wonder Woman. But I think movies like Wonder Woman have kind of spawned off of the influence of TV shows like Powerpuff Girls.
All right. Tim, ready, set, go.
I really don't have much more to say other than I know Teen Titans is just something that really speaks to each of us in our own way. It has a unique art style, cool villains, and multiple seasons that really have long trending arcs, which really reflect kind of what we expect from TV shows nowadays. You guys have good arguments, but I really just don't think that they hold a candle to this show that was really able to grow with us as we got older.
Reminder, this is the rebuttal round. So, David, I'm gonna hand it off to you for the last one. Ready, set, go.
Okay, when you think of a superhero show, you think of powers, and Justice League Unlimited has the coolest powers. Teen Titans, the powers are kind of lame. Powerpuff Girls, they're super lame. They all have the same power. They're all essentially like Superman, they just like the generic superhero. And Teen Titans, the coolest power is probably Beast Boy. But Justice League Unlimited, you have so many different powers. If you can choose one that you really like, and you have a few episodes about that character. But definitely has the coolest powers.
All right, we out of time? All right, 15-second closing arguments. Tim, I'll hand it to you first. Ready, set, go.
Okay, multiple seasons, great arcs with each character developing through each season individually. They have a tighter cast. It made Robin really cool. That's a really difficult feat, so it's a great show.
All right. David, ready, set, go.
The Justice League theme song is absolutely incredible. Very good song, as well as the art style. I think it's a way cooler and more realistic than Teen Titans and Powerpuff Girls. And
all right,
Firestorm's in it. He's the best.
Joe, ready, set, go.
Superhero movies should be about basically empowering children, and I think Powerpuff Girls does that the best. It covers very relatable arcs like women empowerment and also having like a single father family and what that entails. And it's more about for the kids empowering them versus just family.
I don't love this, but I'm going to give it to Joe because as he did back up his argument pretty well. And on the rebuttals, he had some decent points, but I really bought into the idea that superhero TV shows, they're for kids. That's okay. That's just okay. So what's the last topic?
Jared is rolling in his grave right now.
All right. Debate number 3. Which Avengers superpowers would be the best to have in real life?
Okay. Big Joe, we'll start with you. 30-second opening statement. Ready, set, go.
When I first got this question, I was going to go with Iron Man, but I once tried to argue that Doug was the best magical animal to have, and I was going to say Iron Man's cool because he's smart, so I'm going to go with the raw power because that didn't work last time with going with the basics. So Thor is the greatest because raw power and longevity. He is literally indestructible and he can live forever.
All right. David, ready, set, go.
Okay, in the real world, there aren't intergalactic enemies to fight. I wouldn't want to be fighting in wars with my powers, so I choose Spider-Man. I think his powers would be the best to have in real life just because they'd be so much fun. You could play around with them. I mean, you could fight some small crime if you wanted to, but essentially just be so awesome to jump around and climb and just have fun with his abilities. All
right. Tim, ready, set, go.
So Doctor Strange is my choice mainly because he just has all of these reality manipulating powers that really allow him to do a lot of fun things, but all unlimited beer. That's pretty great. But the other thing is he definitely could go up against any villain that comes against him and outwit him or outsmart him by putting him into some sort of mirror dimension. So great opportunity for fun and defeating villains. Great.
All right. On to 30-second rebuttals. Tim, we'll start with you. Ready, set, go.
Okay, so Joe said that Thor can live forever. False. Asgardians do age and eventually die, as evidenced by Odin at the beginning of Thor Ragnarok. Beyond that, I also just want to say that Spider-Man, really, he's great, but can't go up against magical characters and could definitely be overpowered by someone significantly stronger. So I just don't think those heroes stand much of a chance against real enemies.
All right. David, we'll go for you now. Ready, set, go.
Thank you. Tim, we're talking about in real life here. I don't have to fight magical enemies. It's what powers would you want to have in real life? So as Spider-Man, with his wall crawling, enhanced strength, speed, reflexes, spidey sense, durability, stamina, you don't need to be fighting magical enemies. They don't exist. So whatever powers are the most fun, which I think are Spider-Man, is what I would want to have. And the only fun power, I guess, of Thor, super strength and flying, but I think that jumping around, having a little more grounded powers is better.
Time. All right. Joe, ready, set, go.
You both picked humans, which is super lame because your shelf life is going to be about 50 years and you're dead. And at least with mine, I can live for thousands of years, even if it's not, unlimited. And secondly, your powers are going to draw attention to yourself. So either best case, you can do some party tricks with them, or worst case, you're expected to do major feats. And at least with mine, I can back up the feats versus just slinging webs and making magic circles.
Okay, now 30-second expansions on your original arguments. We'll start with David. Ready, set, go.
I wouldn't just be slinging webs. I would be the best climber in the world. I would be the best acrobat in the world. It'd just be so much fun. You could do as many, extreme sports as you wanted to and be able to survive any of it and excel at them. And I guess it's a little bit of a rebuttal, but Doctor Strange has like too much power. I don't think that having the power to go into alternate dimensions is something that would keep you sane, really. So, yeah.
All right. All right. Tim, expand on your opening arguments for 30 seconds. Ready, set, go.
I'm going to pull a Big Joe here and speak from the heart. I know I am mentally strong enough to be able to handle these sorts of powers. And I think it would be amazing to be able to bring real knowledge of quantum physics and all these other, science that appears like magic could really become something that is mastered by me, and I could open up this ability to the rest of the world. So I just think it's going to be a really useful power to have, and I would be able to handle it well.
Okay. And Joe? Ready, set, go.
Yeah, with my abilities, obviously they have a lot of real world applications, and even if I got to the point where I was using them to, you do powerful things and save people from tyranny, that kind of thing, like I could back it up because I'm an indestructible god creature. So at least, if I decide, hey, I want to do some major things for the world, I could back it up versus, I guess Doctor Strange could maybe pull it off, but I don't think Spider-Man could alter the world the way Thor could.
Okay. Now, 30-second rebuttals once more. We'll start with Tim. Ready, set, go.
I just think more than anything, Thor, his powers really don't allow him to give back to the world. I mean, sure, he has lightning, so he could make some light bulbs work for people in, a town without power. But I think beyond that, it just doesn't work out. And Spider-Man, again, he's pretty small scale. I mean, he's just your friendly neighborhood Spider-Man. Can't really change the world or help him out on a bigger scale. So I think it'd be fun for a little bit, but I think it'd wane quickly.
Okay. Joe, rebut. Ready, set, go.
You want to talk about not being able to have major influence, but I mean, you talk about, tyranny. You have some dictator in another country that I could essentially wipe out single-handedly and not risk the lives of other people. World wars wouldn't be an issue. I could end them if I wanted to. Basically, it is a lot of power. But if you choose not to use that power, you can also just live a happy life, because I'm going to live for thousands of years and see how, things go. I'd be the smartest, wisest.
All right. David, bring it home. Ready, set, go.
Joe, I don't think anybody actually wants to live for thousands of years. Also, you mentioned the extreme amount of power you have to change the world and overthrow leaders. I don't think you want that much power too. And also, Doctor Strange, kind of on a similar vein, like he can look into other dimensions and stuff, but it's also very dangerous. And I just think that Spider-Man has the best powers to have a relatively normal life, except for all those, physical abilities. But yeah, maybe I wouldn't be able to.
All right. 15-second closing statements. We'll start with David. Ready, set, go.
Joe, I don't know what kind of life expectancies you're looking at in med school, but I'd live a lot more than 50 years as Spider-Man, and I'd have a lot of fun doing it, being able to climb, which I love doing, and many other things with my friendly neighborhood powers.
All right. Joe, closing statements. Ready, set, go.
I think Infinity War would have some things to say about
security breach.
And I also think that maybe I shouldn't say that because that might be a spoiler, I guess. Should we cut that? I guess
and
I forgot.
You're out of time, so
I'll bleep it. Don't worry.
All right. Tim,
okay.
Closing statements. 15 seconds. And go.
More than anything, Doctor Strange is just going to be able to teach his powers to other people beyond just him. So I think he could have, beyond his own life, really people could learn how to utilize these powers well for the good of mankind.
All right. Well, David might have had an advantage from the beginning because I do agree with him. But I also think you guys' powers seem too scary. And I think David just sold me a little more. Although I will say, he doesn't understand the point of the Spider-Man powers.
Oh, what is that, Jacob?
Well, with great power comes great responsibility. You aren't supposed to be Spider-Man without being a superhero. But I give David that win, which means it's time for trivia tiebreaker.
Woo! Jacob,
Okay,
I mentioned stopping small crime in my opening statement, I think. So responsibility right there, baby.
I have 15 questions, and we'll just see.
Oh, well.
Should we do like first to 3 correct or something?
Yeah, we'll try that. I don't think they're not that easy.
Can we say Buzz first?
Yeah, okay. First one's kind of hard. I'll start with the harder one. The first time, and this encompasses all superheroes, so we'll get some DC and Marvel. Not to say that they have the rights on all superheroes, but just the ones.
I was gonna say, aren't there
whatever. In the Marvel, no. The first time Batman and Superman met was in Superman Comics issue 76. What year did it come out? The closest person wins.
Buzz.
All right, Tim.
1947.
Okay, I'll take all answers and whoever's closest.
Okay, 1939.
Joe?
1948.
Oh, Big Joe wins. It's 1952.
Use the
all right.
dirtiest trick in the book.
Joe's got one.
Someone was watching The Price is Right.
Yeah. What is Wolverine's birth name? Buzz in for this one.
Buzz.
All right.
Logan.
No, I'm afraid not.
Buzz.
Yeah?
Randy.
No, I don't think you're gonna get it.
Buzz,
Been a great
William.
guess, though.
Nope, it's James Howlett.
Oh, dang,
All
I
right.
did know that. Well, I wouldn't have known it.
Which of the 9 realms do the Frost Giants live in?
Oh, Buzz.
All right.
Um,
All right, Tim buzzed in first, so
Trondheim.
nope.
Ooh.
Buzz?
Yep.
Sovngarde?
Nope.
Something that sounded right. is that what that is?
Buzz.
Yeah.
All right.
Middle Earth. I don't know.
Close.
No, it's Jotunheim. Jotunheim. Okay.
That's
Maybe
that's
this one's
what
a little
I
bit
said, Heim
easier.
at the end.
In Marvel Comics, who are the founding members of the Avengers?
Oh, Buzz.
All right.
And if you paid attention to Jacob's poster, then you would know. It's got to be Iron Man, Wasp, Ant-Man, Iron Man, Hulk, and Thor.
You said Iron Man twice, but yes, that's correct.
Oh, okay. Sorry. I got too excited.
All right, so 1-1. Let's go. Okay, in the Marvel movies, Jarvis was the name of Tony Stark's virtual personal assistant before it became Vision. What is the name of his new assistant?
Buzz.
All right,
Friday.
that's correct. All right, 2-1. Okay, this one's kind of fun. Marvel and DC had a crossover comic event. They made a lot of different new characters based on combinations of one character from DC and one character from Marvel. So I'm gonna list a character, and then you have to guess who or which 2 characters it is a combination of. One from Marvel and one from DC. Okay, so we'll start with Dark Claw.
Buzz.
All right.
Black Panther and Batman.
No.
I'll just guess Nightwing and Black Panther.
Nope.
Dark Side and
Nope.
Claw.
Nope.
Dang it.
Dark Claw is a combination of Wolverine and Batman.
Ooh.
Ooh.
Oh.
All right. This one might be a little bit easier. Super Soldier.
Buzz.
All right.
Superman and Captain America.
Correct.
Yes.
Nice.
A point.
Easy.
The next one's I think maybe too easy. So we won't do it. What is the DC Universe event that caused the timeline to split between Prime Earth and New Earth?
Buzz.
Yeah?
Infinite Crisis on Infinite Earths.
Nope.
I don't know.
I got nothing.
All right, it's Flashpoint. That's probably the nerdiest one. But okay. What is the first film packaged and licensed by Marvel Studios?
Buzz.
Yeah.
Buzz?
Iron Man 1.
David? Nope.
Oh.
Buzz. I'm
Tim?
going to say that. Oh, yeah. The really, really first Fantastic Four. You know which one I'm talking
No,
about.
it was not that.
Buzz,
Okay.
the Incredible Hulk.
Wrong. It was Blade.
Oh, wow.
Oh, dude, that's right.
Yeah.
All right. The Hulk is voiced by Mark Ruffalo in only one movie, Thor Ragnarok. Who voices him otherwise?
Buzz Edward Norton.
No.
Got it. Technically. In a different movie.
Buzz, I'm going to say Andy Serkis.
Wrong.
I don't know.
Good guess.
Oh, you guys. It's Lou Ferrigno.
Oh,
wow.
Wow.
sick.
Okay. What is Cyborg's alter ego's name?
No clue.
Yikes. It's Vic Stone.
Uh-huh.
Which
Sick.
borough of New York is Spider-Man from?
Buzz.
Yeah? Tim?
Queens.
That's correct. I think that gives Tim
Yep.
3.
Tim wins.
Yeehaw.
Tim wins.
Congrats.
Well done.
It's the classic guest star bias.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
What was the final crossover name?
Spider-Boy.
Ooh.
Is it Spider-Man and what?
Superboy?
Yep. Spider-Man Superboy.
I didn't
Dude,
even know
that
there was
actually
a
I'd read
Superboy.
the heck out of that comic.
But he has wall crawling and flight, so what's the point?
I crawl.
I freaking love that.
That's funny. All right, I think we're going to wrap up this week's show. Thanks, everyone, for tuning in, and those who joined on the YouTube live stream. Be sure to leave us a rating and review on iTunes. It would help us rise in the ranks. And I'm not sure what next show's about, but we'll let you know on social media, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook. Thank you, Tim, for coming back. Always good to have you.
Thanks for having me, guys. Appreciate it.
And thank you, Joe and Jacob, as always.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
All right, we will see you next time. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.
Thanks for listening to Hostel Discourse. Subscribe and leave us a review on iTunes, Google Play, or Stitcher. And check out our other social media accounts linked in the show notes. Join us next time for more inexhaustible debate over the most questionable of topics.